Hey guys, happy Sunday. I am here to do some more prepping. I was actually not going to do a prep video today. We had a band competition yesterday and I am just thoroughly exhausted. I'm usually one of those up at 7 o'clock kind of people, and I didn't get up till 10:45. So I am really tired and kind of sore and just not feeling completely great today. That's why I've got this hat on instead of my hair down. I have hardly put on any makeup because I'm just exhausted. But I wanted to show you what I'm going to do to prep for this week. It's a little different than what I normally do, so I just wanted to show you some other things that maybe you don't ever think about prepping, but can be a big help to you. This week I'm going to be making chili, I'm going to be making pork roll-ups, I'm going to be cutting up some summer sausage for my husband for his lunches and snacks and stuff like that. We've got some other snacky things that we're going to prep. So I just wanted to show you what I'm going to do. So let's get going. All right. So the first thing I want to show you is that I got this. It is a rump roast. Rump roasts are not always the most tender, and that's why they're so cheap. This one is $3.49 or $3.94 a pound. So this is about 2.5 pounds. I'm going to use this for the chili, and the reason I'm going to use this for the chili is because, of course, we're not going to put beans in it, but the texture of this will simulate the texture of a bean. So we're going to make sure, and we're going to cut this small enough that when we saute it, it's going to give us that that texture that we're wanting. So I'm just gonna, I want you to know, before I started this video, I made sure and I made sure, sorry about that, I made sure and I sharpened all my knives, because what we're going to be doing with this cutting is we're going to be making things thin, and we're going to be precise, so we definitely want to make sure that our knives are as sharp as possible. I use an electric sharpener, so I just try to run my knives that I'm going to use for the day or the week through it a few times on each side, and then it just, you know, it kind of keeps them nice and sharp for the week. That way, because a dull knife is going to be a knife that hurts you. All the chefs that I've ever heard have always said dull knives are more dangerous than sharp knives, because you're trying to force something through that is going to be harder to control because you're pushing so hard, and then you end up cutting yourself. So we want to make sure that our knives are always good and sharp. So what I'm going to do, as you can tell, I cut these into really nice thin size slices, maybe about 1/2 inch thick. And all I'm doing is I'm just cutting them into cubes. And that's it. Now, the reason I'm prepping this ahead of time is because I'm going to be making this later in the week, and as you can tell, this is a little time consuming, and after work I have some training and studying that I need to do. I have some training for work next Tuesday, and so I'm going to prep some stuff so that I can study before I go, because it is really technical what I'm going to be studying, and I want to make sure that I don't look like an idiot while I'm there. So as you can tell, it's pretty easy, especially with a good sharp knife, to just cut these up, and as you can tell, these are really nice chunks. I do have a couple of Tupperware bowls that I'm going to be putting all of this in, and yeah, I'm even cutting up the fat, because the fat is going to provide flavor. I tried to make chili last week, and I was not so impressed with my with my results. I didn't do a good job. And so I'm going to try it again this week because I really want some chili. It's cold here and it's time. So I am going to fast forward through this, and once I am done cutting all this up, I will be back. All right, I'm back. I have the beef cut up, and as you can tell, I put it into 2 containers. I tried to make each one about approximately half of whatever I cut up. And the reason why is that this rump roast was $9.38 a pound, or I mean $9.38 total, and I don't want to use 2 pounds of this, 2.5 pounds almost, of this in my chili this week because I want it to act like beans. So I'm actually going to use this along with some ground beef, and so I'll probably use a pound of ground beef with this, even maybe 1.5 pounds. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to use it this week, and then this one is actually going to go into the freezer for me to use another time for chili. So that just cut that $9.38 in half, and with the ground beef I got for $1.48 a pound, this actually turns out to be not quite as expensive as it usually is. Now the reason I didn't get it on sale is because there wasn't anything on sale, and of all the choices it was the least per pound. So, so the next thing I'm going to prepare is this boneless pork loin. It was $9.17, and even though it was only reduced by $1.25, it actually made it cheaper than the other item I was going to get. So what I was going to get was just thin cut boneless pork chops, because we're going to be making our pork roll-ups this week, and I'm actually going to be able to get more out of this than I would have out of the already pre-cut ones. And this the other package was $12 something, and it was higher in price. So we're going to go ahead and do this ourselves, and I will show you a couple of ways that you can cut this to make a couple of different ideas. Bear with me, I'm going to just, there's a lot of juice in here, so I'm just going to dump it in my sink and I'll be right back. Alright, so here's our pork roast, and if you can see, one side has fat on it, the other side does not. It is boneless, and those are pretty good size. So there's three different things you could do with this. One of them could be you just cut this in half, and one half would be one meal, one half would be another meal, and you can bake it in the oven as a roast. You can put it in a crock pot with seasonings, and you can make pulled pork barbecue out of this. The other thing that we can do with this is we can make butterfly pork chops, and I'm sure you've seen those in the store, and really they're really not hard to do. So I'm going to show you with part of it how to butterfly it, but the butterfly is I mean, I can take the butterfly pork chops and I can do with it what I'm going to do for the roll-ups. So I'm going to show you first how to butterfly it. Now the important thing about butterflying pork chops is you need to make sure that it's good and thick enough. Whatever thickness you want for your pork chop, you want to double that, because that's where the butterfly comes in. So I'm going to cut these about 1.5 inches to 2 inches thick. And I'm only going to do a couple of them because, like I said, we're going to do the other thing later. Okay, so now you have these good thick chops. If you wanted to, you could cook them like this. You could grill them, you could bake them. I mean, who doesn't like a nice good chop? But what we're going to do is we're going to butterfly these. And it's really important that you have a good sharp knife. That's one of the reasons why I made sure to sharpen it today. And what you're going to do is you're going to look for the halfway mark, which is right about here. And you're going to put it on your cutting board, and you're going to put your hand on top. The hand is going to steady it so that it doesn't move. Now what you're going to do is you're just going to gently cut through it, and if it's like that, you just go ahead and do a little bit at a time. But what you're looking to do is to cut through it almost all the way, and that's why I do it this way, is I start out on the side and then I just gently cut until I can lay that chop out flat. When you look at the back side, you're going to see that there's a ridge, and that's exactly what you want to see. And there you go. You have a butterfly pork chop. Again, you can grill this, you can use it in recipes, you can bake it, you can do whatever you want to with it. It just looks really fancy, and you can say, I had butterfly pork chops tonight. And I'm going to show you one more time how to do that, just so you know. Again, you're going to put that in the middle, and you're going to start out, and then you're going to turn it on its side, and you're going to gently drag your knife through and spread it out as you go so that you can get that butterfly effect. And there you go. It's just that easy. So when it comes to buying butterfly pork chops, you really don't have to, because it's really super simple and it's going to save you money. Butterfly pork chops are actually quite expensive compared to just regular pork loin roast. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to fully cut them in half, and I'm going to freeze them in these portions. Now these would be good just for eating and baking again, but what I'm going to do with these later this week is I'm going to pound them out flatter, and I am going to make pork roll-ups. This one may be a little bit too thick, so I'll just freeze that one. But when it comes to my pork roll-ups, you want to make sure that they're good and thin, and you do want them kind of long. So I'm going to leave this the way it is, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut these to the thickness that I want, because like I said, you're going to pound these out this week for the pork roll-ups. So we want to make them, you want to start out with a little bit thinner so you don't have to struggle and pound so much. We're going to saute some peppers, and we're going to marinate them for a little bit in oil and coconut aminos or Bragg's liquid aminos. We use the liquid aminos because I'm allergic to coconut. And yeah, so this will be another yummy dinner for them, and there's so many that I'll probably just put about half of them. I'll probably cook half of them, and I will take the other half, and I will take the other half and freeze it. Again, we want to make sure that if we're spending $10 on meat, that we're actually, you know, choosing to freeze some if possible, unless you have unless you know you have 5 people that are going to be eating, then you're going to probably want to use the whole roast. For us, it's just going to be my husband and daughter eating them, so we're going to not have to cook up so much tonight or this week. And another reason why I'm prepping this today is because, as you can tell, it is a time-consuming process. And I want to make sure that this week runs as smooth as possible, because this weekend we have another big competition, and I want to be able to prep for that too. Okay, so I will finish this up, and I will be right back. All right, I'm back, and I have got those completed. Like I said, I'm going to put half of them in a bag for this week. The other half is going to go into the freezer so that we can do these again another day. I'm going to do that off camera. You don't need to know how to bag up something. You already know that. But the next thing I'm going to prep for us is, hold on, there we go. All right, the next thing I'm going to prep for us this week is actually for my husband. He loves summer sausage. We usually get the all beef, but it looks like we got the regular one this time. It does have a few ingredients that aren't the best. It does have some dextrose in it, but it is less than 1 gram of carb per 2 ounces. And there's 10 servings in this. So what I'm going to do for my husband is I'm going to go ahead and slice this up. He loves to take slices of this and a little bit of cheese and pork rinds, and he makes like a snack cracker out of it. So what we're going to do is maybe open up this package and take it out, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut it up. Now these always come with a nice paper liner on them, so you know, to make it easier on prepping, go ahead and just take that off. And I'm going to cut this whole thing up, not because he's going to eat the whole thing in a week. There's no way he would, but it's just it's easier to get it all done at once. And the summer sausage lasts a while, so you know, if I cut it up this week, I know that it's going to last him through next week and the week beyond. And I'm making these, you know, kind of thin. Again, I sharpened this knife before I started filming, so that it was good and sharp, because when it comes to the beef sausage, you do want to, or the summer sausage, you do want to make sure that the slices are uniform and they're not too thick. So a good sharp knife is going to ensure precision. So let me go ahead and finish cutting these up, and I'll be right back. All right, so it didn't really take that long to cut all these up, maybe a couple of minutes, and I'm just going to go ahead and throw them in a Ziploc. And I'm not going to bother with portioning them out, just because he'll just grab what he wants out of it. So I'm not going to take too much time on that. Now, the next thing I am going to prep is going to be something we got at Aldi today. And it's a specialty Panino Tray. And this was actually like $11.99, which is really expensive. But we got it for a couple of reasons. He loves this kind of thing, and we could do this ourselves. But we are so tired and exhausted today, and I was just like, okay, fine. Because of yesterday, we want to make sure that we are prepared for next week. So yesterday we had a band competition, and the band itself, they provided for the kids a chili cook-off and a thing of pizza and chips and all sorts of sodas, and you know, just absolutely nothing that we could eat. I told my husband to go ahead and eat the toppings off the pizza, and he was like, no, I'm good, I'll be fine. We expected to be able to hit the concession stand during a break, and once we found out that we weren't going to be able to do that, as well as the concession stand was closed, so we really did not eat all day. I had made myself a good breakfast in prep, just in case I wouldn't be able to eat until 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and it turned out that I really didn't get to eat at all. And neither did my husband. He had taken some almonds with him, so he had a little bit of something, and I had taken some cocoa butter with me to up my fat, because I knew I would probably just be having a hamburger there. So we were both extremely hungry, and we are trying to prepare for this coming weekend, because it's going to be an even longer weekend, and it's earlier, and we don't want to be caught with not eating all day. I mean, like, Our call time on Saturday morning, is 5 a.m. We have to drive to Chattanooga and perform, possibly in finals. And then if we don't perform in finals, we should be home about midnight. If we do perform in finals, though, we will not be home until 2 or 3 in the morning. And when you have a 5 a.m. to 3 a.m. Time frame possible, you've got to make sure that you bring food with you that you can have. So my husband is going to be taking this. I haven't figured out yet what I'm going to be taking, but we are definitely going to be bringing a small cooler on the bus with us, and we will try to make sure that we have access to it at least a little bit so that we don't go hungry, because yesterday was absolutely no fun. So even though this was $11.99, for us, for what we need to do for next week for next Saturday is going to be invaluable. Now, this nutrition value says that 1 serving is 2 slices. It is less than 1 gram of carb, and so I'm putting 3 just so he can have a variety. So he may be getting a gram of carb in all of this, but what we're going to do is he can bring like 5 or 6 of these, and he knows that he will have at least something that will keep him going. We are very physical when it comes to what we have to do. We have to push props and carts and all sorts of stuff, and it's very strenuous exercise. Sometimes, like yesterday, we probably walked 5 or 6 miles yesterday just in moving equipment and getting the kids where they needed to go and stuff like that. So that's one reason why we're exhausted. And it was also like 39 degrees when we came home last night, and we didn't get home till midnight. So that's going to be going there. And then the next thing I'm going to prep is also for next weekend for my husband, but also my daughter really likes it too. I got us a bag of pecans. When it comes to pecans, 1 ounce, 28 grams is going to be 4 grams of carbs, 3 grams of protein, and 20 grams of fat. So these are going to be a really good thing for a quick snack, especially if we need it next weekend. But the problem with this is that we end up overeating them. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bag these up into individual packages. And the reason I'm doing that is because my daughter could eat this whole bag by herself, and this bag was $10. We just don't have the money to be doing that. This bag has, let's see, 16 servings in it. There's 16 servings in this bag, so we want to make sure that we get 16 servings out of it. And 28 grams is a serving size. And that is 28 grams. So that's a good size snack. And I'll probably have some of this next weekend as well. So I'm going to go ahead and portion the rest of this out, and I will show you my bags when I'm done. All right, I'm back, and I have portioned these out into individual portions. I did end up getting 16.5 portions out of that. So I made out on that deal because there were 16.5 portions. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to put them in a big Ziploc, and that's just to keep them corralled. That way people can just grab out of them when they need, and we've got that already set for them. I'm going to do the same thing with those rolls that I portioned out as well. Now, this didn't take me that long. This took me less than 40 minutes to do. And this is going to help our week immensely. This is going to help us just grab and go lunches or snacks. I don't have to cut up my beef before I make my chili this week. I don't have to cut up the pork roast before I make the roll-ups this week. So prepping can be different from week to week. What you choose to prep and how you prep it are going to be different. As you can tell, I make tons of different prepping videos on what I do. So pay attention to what you need to prep. You know, if you are having problems with portion control on nuts or olives or pepperoni or whatever it is that you're having portion control issues with, go ahead and portion them out. I used to do this with my kids. When they were in elementary school and middle school, I would buy a bag of chips for each of them, and that was their chips for the week, because a bag of chips holds 8 servings. So they should have more than enough chips for an entire week. But I found that they were putting too big of a portion in a bag. So what I would do is I would come home with my 3 different types of chips, and it wasn't just a bag of potato chips plain, it was Doritos or whatever, always off-brand, of course. So what I would do is I would just spend 10-15 minutes, and I knew that I needed 8 portions out of each bag, so I'd go ahead and portion them out. I'd put them in a box, I'd put them in the pantry, and then they could just choose which flavor they wanted that week or that day to go in their lunch. It made lunch prep much easier and stuff like that. So that's where this concept comes in. The prepping of the pecans and of the rolls and stuff like that. It's another thing that's going to make your week go easier. And as you can see, my husband is in the background. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to relax. I'm going to be throwing some chicken wings in the oven. I promised myself them this week. So I went ahead and I got myself some chicken wings. I'm about to throw those in the oven, and we're going to have those for dinner, and I can't wait. And I'm going to go ahead and relax. It's been a long day. It was a long couple of days, and I'm exhausted. So hope you guys prep well this week. Thank you so much, and see you later.